Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Downright Upright Show, the place to go to hear out loud and proud what Minnesotans are thinking. And I am your host, Philip Anthony. Thank you for choosing to join us today, and I hope you're all doing fantabulous. And fantabulous is fantastic and fabulous put together twice as nice, saves time. And my special guest today is someone really I'm so excited to interview. Her name is Bianca Virnig, right? Did I pronounce that right?
Virnig.
Virnig.
Yep.
Not Virnig. It's Virnig.
Virnig.
Okay,
Yep.
It's the normal pronunciation. Silly me. She is a candidate for State House for District 52B. I would be her constituent if she won, so I'm excited about that. And also she's replacing Ruth Richardson, who is vacated the seat because she's going to be the CEO of Planned Parenthood in northern Minnesota, right?
Yep.
North something Minnesota. But yes, but she's amazing too. Yeah. And I interviewed her on the show as well. So hello, Bianca, and thank you for joining us on the Downright Upright Show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you betcha. So on all my shows, I like to ask foundational questions about my guests' background. So like where they were born, raised, went to school, and any stories or anecdotes that you feel or memories about that time that you'd want to throw in to, enhance the experience for the guests, for the audience.
Yeah, so I'm from Centerville, which is a little town just north of the metro, kind of Hugo, Lino Lakes area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up on a lake there, and I went to Centennial High School. My aunt lived across the lake from us. It was kind of a, I would say, sort of bucolic upbringing, right? Did a lot of swimming, snowmobiling, and then I grew up in a conservative, right-wing Second Amendment household. So, did a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing. I'm a big outdoors woman.
Do you hunt?
I do, actually, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yep.
All
I
right.
grew up hunting. Not so much since having kids because, I have 3 kids, so they take a lot of time.
I like to fish.
Yeah, I love fishing too. Yeah. So from there, I went to, like I said, I went to Centennial High School. It was a great high school. I really enjoyed it. I went to Century College. So I'm a first-generation college student, college grad in our house and in my family. And so Century College was, affordable, small. It was great. It worked out really well. I was a writing center tutor. And then one of my professors came and said, here's an application to the U. You need to get out of here. Like, go get your 4-year degree. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. So I took her advice, and I got a bachelor's in English literature at the University of Minnesota. So that was great. It was really good for me because the program was, you need to figure out how you're going to use this, or you're going to end up flipping burgers, right? Because you're not all going to be Garrison Keillor or Stephen King, so figure out what you're going to do with this.
Right,
and I got my start at an electronics recycling company, and they asked me to be their safety person. And I said, oh, well, what is that? Sure. What do I do? And they were like, you know how to read, right? And I was like, I do. And so I learned about OSHA, safety regulations, environmental regulations, SARA Title III, wastewater, things like that. And from there, I went to Minnesota OSHA. And I was a compliance officer for a while, and then a consultant, which is like the free, friendly version where you're helping people fix the hazards that are in their workplace versus citing them. So, I went from Centerville to kind of Inver Grove Heights and then Eagan. And when I got my job at OSHA and it was stable income and things like that, I moved to Eagan. So I lived in the townhomes kind of behind Puffy Cream. So the donut shop, over there, Cedar Bluff townhomes. And I joined the association board as the treasurer. And at the time, we were going through a lawsuit with American Family Insurance. It actually went to the state Supreme Court because of a hailstorm that had come through, and their unwillingness to replace the siding, the term like and kind. So it would have looked like patchwork siding because the siding color, the fading wasn't, they couldn't match it. And we actually won. So the association won. It was a pretty big case. So that was like my entry into living in Eagan, which I love. We've been there almost 20 years.
Nice. I love it there.
Yeah, it's got everything.
Yeah, and it's equidistant between everything.
Yeah,
right? I noticed when you go over the Mendota Bridge, I think it's the only place, maybe I'm wrong, maybe my listeners know better than me. When you go over the Mendota Bridge, you can actually see Minneapolis and St. Paul at the same freaking time.
Yes.
Oh, my God. It's amazing. It's great. It's beautiful there. Before your decision to run for for State House, you were regional COVID coordinator to the Twin Cities Metro. That's amazing. Can you talk about your time in that position and the challenges that you had faced at that time?
Yeah, well, so I'll take a little step back. I went from OSHA to Hennepin County Human Services and Public Health, and I had got a lot of experiences in emergency management, emergency preparedness, setting up pods or points of distribution. So I had that experience, and I ended up going to an educational service cooperative, and the co-ops support school districts, their member districts, in kind of a variety of ways. So I was there as the environmental and facilities health and safety specialist. I started in the summer of 2019, and then we all kind of know what happened in early 2020. And in August of 2020, the governor asked the co-ops if they could help, and with the response, and I volunteered. I was like, I know a bit about infectious diseases and emergency management. And so I became the regional COVID coordinator. So I provided support to all metro area school districts. So that's something like 480-some thousand students. It's about 56% of the student population is in the metro, with one regional COVID coordinator and 8 for the rest of the state. So I had a team from MDE and MDH, and our job was to facilitate conversations with superintendents and district leaders, as well as executive directors of charter schools, we did work with a couple of private schools, school nurses, answering questions with school nurses, but to help them navigate the process of the Safe Learning Plan. So they would come to us with questions, or whenever the governor would give a new edict of this is what you're going to have to do, or we're going to shut down, or now you all have to go back in person. What does hybrid look like? What does distance look like? We navigated that. So we answered a lot of questions. I was working 6 in the morning till 10, 11 at night.
Oh, no.
5. I worked pretty much 7 days a week.
Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Yeah, it was a really unique experience. I worked with epidemiologists, and then I also collaborated with a lot of the local public health. So, you have the school nurses who are doing contact tracing, local public health that's looking at trends and trying to relay data that's more hyper-local than just the statewide. Because what was happening in Cook County was different than what was happening in Dakota County.
Right, true. But, for me, that disinformation that was going on in that period. Okay, so obviously we didn't know at the beginning. We didn't really know very much about COVID.
Right.
I mean, I remember, Dr. Fauci would come on and say, wear a mask. It'll protect you. And then don't touch surfaces because, and then it evolved.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that happening?
Yeah.
And then because of that evolution, people were saying that he's lying and he's made up story. He was only going by the information that was happening at that moment.
Right.
And then because it was an evolving disease, because at the beginning I wasn't touching anything and I wore a regular mask. Then it was N95 was the only mask to protect you. And then touching surfaces was okay. But the one thing that I think got messed up was the shots in arms.
Oh, yeah,
Now they're saying, because he said that and see how things changed.
Yeah.
Don't get the, it's not safe. You get ivermectin or whatever drama that was.
Or
so
they're injecting.
Briefly, because I didn't want to go into this too deeply because, I only have 39 minutes left here. But and I want to take as much information from you because this is why I love doing this show. I love, gleaning information from people and absorbing it like a sponge. So can you talk about those false statements that people are making and how disinformation was affecting COVID up until now, actually, too?
Yeah, I think whenever you have any type of emergency response, right, communication is, I would say, probably the number one thing that people look back and go, we could have done that better. We could have done that better, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's part of this is the communication. Also, some of the public health infrastructure is a bit antiquated. So, the QAnon, you have all these places. So as a school board member, I don't know if we touched on that yet, but, I'm on the school board, right? People will send me things about how masks kill kids or they're, injecting trackers with the vaccines. And my favorite
How is that even possible?
I know, right?
Look at that needle.
I know, it's so small, right? I'm like, so my response is often, well, if you can find some peer-reviewed data that supports this, then we can talk about it. But until then, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. And I think the rollout, there were some challenges for people with disabilities accessing the information, like how to get the information, where can I get a shot, how can I sign up, where can I get testing done. And then the lottery system wasn't maybe the best way to roll things out. Even when the initial conversations were about teachers, and I said, well, there's school bus drivers, too. They're the first person a student sees. So if you don't have bus drivers, there's nobody going to be in the school. So we need to make sure that we're looking at all of the people in education. And then I oversee a COVID-19 workforce grant. And as part of that, we've done vaccine clinics. And I even did the first mass youth vaccine clinic in Dakota County. We stood that up. So the night of the election for school board, I was there with my team, planning the vaccine clinic. And we've been able to vaccinate, thousands of people at schools, predominantly at schools, and have been really successful, I think, because of marrying the school support system with the public health, the health system, and having cultural family advocates, which are huge in getting some of those underserved populations vaccinated. Yeah. So I think a lot of it is really going back to that, what does the science tell us?
Yes, and science evolves.
Yep, it does.
Like anything else.
Yep.
And we used to think we had 9 planets, and now we have 8. Things happen.
Poor Pluto.
Yeah, Pluto is not a planet anymore.
Right.
Anyway, so I want to talk about your school board experience.
Yeah. That
sounds exciting to me because as an LGBTQ person, I am finding that very disturbing.
It is,
what I'm hearing from people that are on the school board. I'm actually friendly with Mike Sapina, who is your cohort. Yeah. So through my legwork, I discovered that you were a school board member for Rosemount, Apple Valley, Eagan School District 196.
Yep.
Can you share, this is the fun part, can you share your thoughts about being a school board member and how it has changed? What drama is happening? Because if you were in the school board 10 years ago, it would have been a completely different ball of wax. So,
I would say even just 4 years ago, right? So, I ran 2 years ago, and I ran against 3 right-wing conservative candidates, and won. There was a slate of us, I know. Oh, thank goodness. But even the folks that ran in the election before that, this is a very different atmosphere, right? And so I did run. I ran one based on what I was seeing in the district's response to COVID, and then the public's response. So the Moms for Liberty group, sort of starting to percolate. And
Parents Defending Education.
Yeah.
Are you involved? Have you been involved with that drama too?
Well, yeah, you see it, right? And you see what is happening in Hastings and Lakeville and that impact. So, I think it was like my third or fourth school board meeting where they came and were protesting. They wanted us to vote on masking, but it wasn't on the agenda. So it's like, that's not how this works. We don't govern by, pressure. There's an agenda. That's what we work through. And then they rushed the dais at the end. And, I'm not kidding.
Was there security there?
Well, so we thought there was going to be security, and people were calling the police, and there were some communication challenges.
I'm so sorry. That's stressful.
But, there were parents going like, what are you worried I'm going to blow my COVID on you? And they're like, blowing at you. And I left, but my colleagues got stuck in the building. And I got to the car, and health and safety is my day job, right?
Your cup of tea.
Yeah, right. And I always tell my kids the safest place from a hazard is as far away from the hazard as you can get. Right? Like if it's a fire, get out, right? Get away from the hazard, right? And so I'm going to the car and there's nobody around. I can see they're surrounding the building. And
oh my goodness,
my colleagues are in this like space that they couldn't leave. And I'm driving away, and all I could think of was just keep driving, just keep driving. Dory, I'm hearing Dory, and just keep driving. The safest spot is as far away from here as you can get. You don't know what's happening back there. Just keep going home. And it was televised. So people were calling me going, are you okay? Like they knew that there was drama happening. And it took quite a while for the rest of the board to be able to leave, for the police to clear them out. So that was like my introduction to school board. It was. It has since gotten better, the meetings, but now we have 4 seats open, and there's a strong push from the Minnesota Parent Alliance, Moms for Liberty, to get those seats. And we just passed a $500 million bond. So, I worry that if there's a stronghold, if they take it over, what does that mean for the bond work, right? When you slow down a construction project, it becomes exponentially more expensive. We need that school. We have overcrowding in our schools. Rosemont Middle has a lot of challenges. Like, we need to continue with that bond work.
Yeah, but I'm worried. My fear is that their aggression is going to deter really good people from doing the good work that you do, and don't let that threaten you. Don't feel that, because there's more people that agree with you than don't. Believe me when I tell you, especially in our district. So maybe you could. Is there any way you can ask for more security when you're there? And
so they did do a review, a post-incident review, and they have changed that.
Perfect.
They've made some changes. For me, I think the biggest fear is that we will lose teachers, right? And that it is going to have a negative impact on our students, their education, their quality of life. You know, so
some states they're actually kind of prodding the teachers to get guns, to bring a gun into the classroom.
Right.
I mean, they're getting so ridiculously nuts. I call them Looney Tunes. I mean, teachers are not – they have enough problems teaching and doing what's on their lesson plan, educating. They don't have time to be a security officer on top of it. So,
No.
But I wanted to piggyback on that question because I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on it. Did you encounter parents who were concerned about certain curricula or books that they wanted banned, other than, of course, the masking and stuff like that? Can you give us an example of certain curricula that they don't like or books that they don't like?
I think, so when I ran, the talking point at the time was CRT, right? And now it's book banning, LGBTQ trans issues, that you're trying to convert our children. And that's just not the case.
Yeah, I was successfully converted, by the way. Did you know that?
Oh, right. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
So
I think it's the funniest thing ever that they think that you could literally convert someone, a child, to become LGBT in any way, shape, and form. Right. You either are. Yeah. You either have blue eyes or you don't. Because it's behavioral, I think that's why they think it's malleable, but it isn't. Mm-hmm. It's inherent in the person. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And until they get that through their head, this is going to happen over and over again, right? Yeah.
I think the real challenge is, how did we get here? So for me, a lot of people who come and have these viewpoints often say, well, I went to Rosemont, or I went to this district, and I'm like, where did we go wrong? How did we lose that critical thinking and, reflection and compassion and kindness, right?
It's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. So we've had examples of that, where they like to write and say, you should ban these books, or we have a process, the district has a process for reviewing books. And as a school board member, your job is policy and governance. Right. So it isn't to go into the library and comb the books to see what's there. And as a parent, my job is, remember I have 3 kids, is to understand what's being taught in school, to be engaged, to talk with the teachers, to talk to my kids about what are you reading, what is happening, and what we think is appropriate or not appropriate. Mm-hmm. But yes, I also have to trust in the system that we have hired the best teachers and the best leaders to do their job. And it's, if you're not in there, I'm also on the PTO, the Deerwood Elementary PTO, right? So I've done things like art adventures. I've, read in the classroom. I'm there a lot. So you get to see what's actually happening in the school. And that is so different from the narrative of these right-wing.
Yes. And I guess I'm going to have to give you some examples of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Because, I get my news from all different sources.
Yeah.
Because I have to do a show, and I have to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I can't just be in an echo chamber knowing, because obviously, I'm left of center. So I have to, those issues I get. Yeah. But I want to hear what they're saying. So I'm hearing books, for example, they're putting pornography in the library.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's fake.
Right.
Fake news, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say that. That's fake news.
Yep.
So parents out there, your children are not reading pornography.
No.
It's not happening. Well, that's what they're saying.
Right.
You could watch any right-wing news channel or blog or anything, and they talk about this as if it's happening. But there's pornography. There's a book with they're showing sexual positions and all this. Yeah.
Or the other one is the litter boxes, right? Because they're furries. I heard that one, yeah. Yeah, I inspect schools for, part of my day job, right? So I've been in hundreds of schools. No, there are no litter boxes. That's not what's happening.
Because we have bathrooms.
Yeah. But, so some people are opposed to the gender-neutral single-user bathrooms. Oh, my God, I love that.
Well, that shows the school is concerned about its LGBTQ kids because
or I don't know, those of us with IBS, nobody wants to be in the stall next to me, So when you can shut the door and you have a little more privacy, actually 2 Rivers in District 197 has a really beautiful setup for single-user gender-neutral bathrooms. They did things like pulled out the mirrors, right? So you're not standing there trying to primp. You only have a few minutes between class. And
and a very small percentage of the children identify as trans or non-binary. Right. So it's a very small amount. But can't you – and to accommodate a child just to make them feel that they're included, that would make the kid feel so much more secure in themselves. Because if I went to school and there was – because I'm old as the hills, I came off the ark, as my mother used to say.
Well, you look good, so.
Thank you. Yeah, Noah and I were dear friends. No, but what was I going to say now? I went off on a tangerine. But I think that we need to teach our children that you're accepted. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to use the word, some states, they don't want to use the word gay, for example, or trans. Maybe just say everybody is included in this school. Mm-hmm. Nobody's different. There's no discrimination. But I think the words need to be said.
Yeah,
that's
inclusive, right?
Yeah. But anyway, did you want to add to that, or you think?
No, that's a real positive change, right? To be able to everybody has access to a bathroom and.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So the schools today have gay, straight alliances. Mm-hmm, a lot of the schools today. Yep. That was unheard of in my day. I would have loved that. Yeah. So I would be able to feel I'm in a safe space. Yeah. And education would have not been as stressful to me. So I think these movements towards inclusion and diversity are wonderful. Yeah. I love it.
And humanizing the experience, right? I'm a cisgender white woman, I grew up in, it was rural when I was a kid. It's not rural anymore. Yeah. But, you learn from each other.
Right,
and so normalizing that, humanizing that, I think is really important.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about your campaign.
Yeah. Okay.
Yay.
I know, right?
Everybody vote.
Everybody vote. Yeah.
DFL.
So vote. So vote November 7th for school board and levies, right? And then November 16th in the special primary.
Yeah. So your campaign is for State House Representative for District 52B, as in Bravo. Mm-hmm. So
Eagan, Mendota Heights.
Yeah. So what are some of the issues of concern that you would like to address on the show here today that you feel would greatly improve the lives of your future constituents?
Yeah. So, obviously, education is my bailiwick,
absolutely.
Right? So fully funding schools is a big thing. Fully funding schools, though, doesn't necessarily mean a huge influx more, obviously everybody wants a big piece of the pie, but there's a lot of ways that we can look at fully funding schools. And one of those is, so I'm a Humphrey Policy Fellow alumni. I was in the 22-23 cohort, and we worked on a project that helped pass legislation to allow schools to bill for social work services, to bill Medicaid for social work services for students on IEPs. Well, that helps fund schools. Are there other ways that we can do that? How can we make it easier to bill, say, Medicaid for nursing services, OTs, speech? We do, on the PTO, we raise funds. There's just a lot of things I think we could look at to address fully funding schools. We need to modernize the nurse ratio, the school nurse ratio. That needs to be addressed. The compensatory aid. So with universal meals, people don't have to fill out the benefits form anymore. And that,
isn't that amazing?
It's great. But then you have school administration concerned about compensatory aid revenue. Those are tied. How do we decouple those and solve that issue? And that's something that I think has to be addressed this next cycle.
Absolutely.
How about Yep. So housing
yes.
is another area.
You read my mind.
Yeah, housing.
You must be a psychic.
Or just talk to people in the district, right? Get around, you hear from folks.
Housing is the big one, yeah.
Yeah, housing is a big one. And, we think of that transitional housing, senior housing, accessible housing, affordable housing. Eagan is a really developed area. Mendota Heights has some room for growth and development. But, something else that has come up is that we may not always think about, but Egan, our 52B area has a growing Somali population, and that aging in place, what does that look like for that community as well? Is it different? And, so I think there's a lot of things that we could address or try to achieve with respect to housing. And then obviously with housing comes transportation, right? And, it's a suburb. It's a south suburb. What can we do for transportation, paratransit? How can we make improvements there as well? So those are some of the big pieces that I'm interested in,
Okay, now I'm going to tell you what I'm interested in.
Yeah, tell me. Tell me. Oh, I can't wait.
I am a strong advocate for healthcare.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's a shame that we are the only country in this entire world that doesn't have health care that's affordable and accessible to our populace.
Yeah.
It's sickening to me that, especially during COVID, that people were afraid to go to the doctor or call a doctor because they didn't have the money to pay for it if they weren't covered, I'm saying.
Right.
So you have indicated that you are an advocate for better access to affordable health care.
Yeah.
And you actually called it on your website a human right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because it is a human right.
Yeah.
Because without your health, you have nothing.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
So, are you saying you are for universal health care, single payer, or some other version of health care to make it a better system for Minnesotans? So what is your view of health care?
Well,
your personal view, I mean.
Yeah. So my personal, this is probably not the right answer, but I have worked for the state, I've worked for the county, I've worked for private industry, and I've worked for small government. I think it would be great if everybody had the same quality of health care that I had at the state, that was affordable, that meant I could see the doctors that I needed when I needed to see them, that was had good medical
affordability,
coverage.
accessibility.
Yeah, prescription drug access, things like that, right? So how do we get there? I think there's a lot of paths, but we have to make some progress, whether that's single payer, universal. How do you pay for it, right? So if you do this, there's a cost associated with that.
Right.
But I pay $2,500 a month for family insurance. It's more than our mortgage. And
it's really expensive. Trust me, I went through a bout with cancer twice, actually.
Yep.
I'm still paying the bills for it. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we do need to make more inroads and make it more accessible for all people. I'm fortunate enough that I live in Egan, right? So you've got Minji and Fairview and, there's so much healthcare access there, but that's not true for all people. And, we need more doctors, more providers. I hear that even in rural communities where
nurses
for sure.
Nurses are being
yes.
I'm a big advocate for nurses because they're being
Yep.
overworked,
Yep.
treated especially during COVID. I saw how they were badgering them when they were going to work, and you remember that, and it was all over the news. All of everything that has to do with health, we are lagging behind.
Yes, we are. Yeah. And we have to be creative. We have to be bold. We have to find solutions. Braiding systems, like when we did the vaccine clinics, we expanded to provide well child visits for kids that, many times had never seen a provider.
Right.
And so we partnered with Odom Medical, and they came in and had doctors, and that was great.
Yeah.
Meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
Not everybody can go, into a clinic. They have a mobile clinic, so they will drive to apartment complexes.
Yeah, I love that.
And meet families there and
wonderful.
See the whole family. So how can we reimagine healthcare and make it accessible to most? And I forgot to mention, I will be remiss if I don't say it, childcare. Childcare is such a great need in our community.
So that women can go to work if they don't have childcare. They have to
or
stay
men,
home.
Or men can
Or
be right,
men,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And
silly me, bad.
No, that's
bad
all right.
Philip.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, but
I'm thinking as an old man, women were the ones that took care of the kids, but now it's changing.
And it's some of the lowest paid profession. Getting benefits or pension is non-existent in that field. The cost, it takes like a year to get in to, if you have an infant. So, that's another area that I hear a lot about.
So Ruth Richardson recently resigned from the seat that you're seeking.
Yes, yeah.
And she was on my show. I love her.
Yeah.
She is such a gem, really. I don't have the words to describe. She's wonderful. She will now focus on her work with Planned Parenthood, and she's accepted the position of CEO of Planned Parenthood North Central States. Can you talk about how you will continue to follow in her footsteps by continuing to fight for women's rights and women's health?
Yeah.
Because, we're in a crossroads here when it comes to women's health. So
I think
pick up the ball there.
Sure. Those are big shoes to fill, right?
Oh, yeah. But you're going to do great.
I'm going to do my best to fill
do
them.
Great.
Right? Yes. And
go vote.
Yeah, go vote. November 16th for the special
for the
election
primary. Is November.
Yep.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because November 7th, isn't it? Is the regular election.
Tuesday, school board levies.
School board and all that wonderful stuff. But not your election.
No.
Yours is it. Say the date one more time so everybody knows.
November 16th, and it's a Thursday.
You
can vote on a Thursday.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
All right.
So as far as reproductive justice, right, from, fertility, if you want to have a family or not, all the way through. So how can we support women, men, people who want to look at their reproductive journey, right? So, it's expensive to go through fertility treatments. We did see a fertility specialist in our second pregnancy. And then with my second pregnancy, I found out I had a tumor that was growing quite rapidly.
Oh no!
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, don't get pregnant. We've found this mass," and like 5 days later, I tested pregnant, and that's a really scary journey because and we didn't know what the mass was, what it was attached to. I ended up having the mass removed when I was 18 weeks pregnant. And luckily,
how's your health now?
Great, it's good. Yep.
Good. Thank God.
But we had all of the options were on the table, and then between my daughter and my youngest son, we had a miscarriage, and I needed a DNC, right? Because listen, I'm an old mom. I wasn't maybe on the ark with Noah, but I am an old mom. And we knew we wanted a third child. And our doctor was like, here are your options. And if you do this, there's less risk of infection.
Yeah.
You can get back on the horse sooner,
Oh, yeah.
So those options aren't available to women all over the U.S. And so for me, it is really personal from, deciding to have a family, what that looks like.
Let the woman decide, man. Stop putting roadblocks in the avenue to a woman's health and a woman planning her family, planning her life. I just hate that the government, for the first time in history, has taken a right away from a group of people who are very, very, who are doing very well, considerably well at the point, able to make decisions for themselves. And now the government's going to step in and say, no, you can't do that. Yeah. And now Tommy Tuberville is like the senator from, Oklahoma or Alabama? They kind of run together for me. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
Anyway, but he's literally saying, I am not going to approve military promotions because I don't think a woman should be able to travel back to her home state to get an abortion because I just don't think it's right. It's, even though he's one man,
right,
the whole, so, yeah.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
Yeah, of course
let's hold up the military.
Let's hold up, just destroy the military, especially at a time that we have 2 wars going on, Anyway, now we've come to the part of the show I like to call the shift, where I shift the questioning away from your personal journey and to your opinions on current events. And don't forget to say the F, because if you don't say the F in shift, we have a problem. Anyway, so that's just important.
Sure.
So say shift.
Shift.
There you go. As you already know, U.S. Representative Dean Phillips, who has represented the 3rd District from 2019, has thrown his hat in the ring and is now a Democratic Party candidate for President of the United States. Now, full disclosure, I met him at Pride.
Sure.
He's very pro-LGBTQ. Yeah. I still haven't made up my mind with him. I don't know what's going on there. I love President Biden. My fear is that, like he said, people may think he's too old.
Yeah.
So that's my fear, because I want a Democrat to win. I don't hook by crook. So what say you?
Well, I got to meet Dean Phillips when we were in D.C. with the Humphrey Policy Fellow. He was great, but
he's a nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. And recently, Morrison Leatherman, they do surveys, presented on the state of affairs with education. And one of the questions they weren't all specific to education, but one of the questions was, Biden, Trump, or anybody else. And it was like one of those things that people on the left and the right universally agreed on was like anybody else, for both parties. But, Biden has done a really good job. And, he is an old, he's old, but I don't, like you, I'm a little, this would be interesting to see how it plays out.
And because we have 8 minutes left, let's make this
Sure.
a lightning round, if you can.
I'll try.
Because I could talk to you all day. I mean,
Yeah, I'm a storyteller. If
I had a 2-hour show, I could do this.
Yeah.
So, the House Speaker.
Yeah.
The new one. Trump's Little Johnson.
Little Johnson, yeah.
Trump's Little Johnson. And I'm stealing from John Fugelsang because I heard him say that this morning. So I'm going to steal. Looks like he doesn't want to tie Israel funding with Ukraine funding like the majority of the Senate and the president wants. What do you think? Do you think he would threaten to shut down the government over this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think nothing is above, I think
because, Ukraine is if we don't help them, then Russia takes over, and it's only going to help Russia in the long run, and maybe encourage China to go and invade, because they say, oh, Russia did this. The U.S. is not going to do anything about us now, and we'll take over Taiwan. So anyway, well, that was quick. See how the lightning round is working out?
Took you very seriously.
Well, it's an important issue.
Yeah. And
Ukrainians need help. They need humanitarian help, and they need military help. As a member of the LGBT community, let's do this again. The LGBTQ community. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. I always like to address current issues that are of concern to my community. Our new speaker, Trump Little Johnson, has attacked the gay community by saying that being gay is not an inherent trait. It's not in you. It's not you. But it's a behavior, and all behavior can be changed through therapy. Now, we already made that illegal in Minnesota.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Thank you. He also blamed the fall of the Roman Empire on homosexuality. No, I'm not even kidding. You can look this up. I wish I was, but I'm not. Finally, he compared gay marriage to marrying one's pet. So if you want to marry Fifi, go right ahead, according to him. Anyway, your thoughts.
I'm a licensed minister, so I can, if I
want to marry Fifi?
No, not Fifi, but, if you want to marry the person you love, right?
Oh, well, yeah. But I'm just joking about something that shouldn't be joked about.
This is, not
But this
okay.
is what he's saying.
Yeah. How do you, I don't understand how the party itself got to, this is the person we want. We need to come back, pull back from those fringe edges.
Insane.
Yeah.
I mean, marrying one's pet. You're going to compare two people that love each other to marrying one's pet.
Not okay.
And the fall of the Roman Empire.
No.
Really? I guess gay people, took over the.
You're really powerful.
The Roman Empire.
You had no idea how powerful.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we are that powerful.
Do you think you could?
If we could take over the
if you can do the fall of the Roman Empire, maybe you could be the fall of the GOP.
Oh, my God.
You're focusing your energy in the wrong space.
No, we are. We're more powerful than we thought we were.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. If we can destroy the Roman Empire and single-handedly gay people. Anyway.
Sorry.
No. I think it's, I have to mention it because, being a gay man, I have to bring the absurd to the fore, and that's absurd.
Well, and I think as a, like I said, cisgender white woman, like how do you protect your friends and sit in that space and be an ally, right?
Of course.
That's
we should all be allies of each other, no matter who you are. If you're white, you should be an ally of black people.
Yep.
If you're Muslim, you should be an ally of Jews. Jews should be allies of Muslims. Gays should be allies of straight. I mean, there shouldn't be any segmentation. Yeah. That's why the country's so messed up, man.
Well, and I think, too, like, be a good ancestor, right?
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
How can I be a good ancestor and with my friends and family and community?
Yes. So, final question is, I like to ask this one at the end. Okay. Before we close the show, is there any topic that we haven't covered? I think we covered pretty much everything.
We covered a lot.
We did. Yeah. That you that I haven't mentioned that you would like to bring forward and talk about in the brief few minutes we have left here.
Well, yes, I suppose. I know we talked about it a little bit, but the Moms for Liberty. So I'm just going to reiterate, people ask what's the pressing challenge for the district right now, and we've kind of covered those, but an even more immediate is that Moms for Liberty contingent. So getting out to vote on November 7th for school board, because there are going to be a bunch of fractured school boards, right? There are going to be people who get elected, and that's going to be a challenge for people who don't understand or didn't run with the drama and the BS. Mm-hmm. Like, how do we move forward? And if they take hold there, then we see them going for libraries, right, to be on library boards, and they're just going to kind of ease their way into other positions. So, being informed, fact checking, really being engaged, I think is really important. Right. So get out and vote November 7th. 196 and 197 both have school boards. 197 has a levy. November 16th. Voting in the special primary, then December 5th, right, which is the general. Where can you as an individual be involved? How can you step into that space to prevent things like Johnson or Moms for Liberty?
Trump's Little Johnson.
Yeah, Trump's Little Johnson.
Yes. Oh, my God. So you were great.
Thanks.
And also, to piggyback on that 3 seconds, I'm going to say this. Behave when you go to a school board meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Behave.
Yeah.
Because
lead by example. Yeah, our children are watching.
Your children are looking at you acting like a fool and threatening people. They're going to be just like you.
Yeah.
Do you want – the future of America is scary, man. If you have parents that are going to scream and charge the dais to attack people because you don't agree. That's what they're teaching their children, basically, in a nutshell, right?
Yep.
So, anyway. So, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, Bianca, you were amazing.
Thanks. This was a lot of fun.
Wasn't it fun?
It was.
We'll do it again when you have that seat.
Sounds good.
That'll even be better.
Yeah.
And I will be, loving to give my input. What I think we could help the community as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Having this show, and you could tell me what I should be saying on the show too. That would help because you will be my House representative. Yep. So thank you so much again, and for being a guest on the Downright Upright Show. It's been a great pleasure. And for more information on Bianca Virnig,
Virnig,
I love your name.
Thank you.
I love interesting names. And her campaign for State House, go to BiancaVirnig.com.
Correct.
And they could volunteer and do door knocking for you and all that. They could do that on the website,
you need a
right?
sign. Yep. You can request a sign. You can donate.
Yeah,
you can
yard signs. Yeah, you didn't give me one.
I've got one in the car.
Oh, perfect. I'm going to put it out I'm going to put it in my car and take it home.
Okay, perfect.
And to my audience, thank you so much for your support with your subs and clicks. And thank you for spending time with us today. Please stay tuned for more of the Downright Upright Show. In the future, you'll get to hear wonderful guests like Bianca, and you'll get to see me in my glasses. I didn't have my fan today, so maybe next show. I have this, though. Anyway, this is your host, Philip Anthony, saying ciao for now. You could wave at your camera. Bye. Love you. Good job.